We finally made it, the holiday season of 1991. There are a lot of game releases concentrated into this period, trying to capture those holiday sales. And 1991 brought a special urgency to the holidays. By this point, most publishers realized that this was their last chance to make some money on the Famicom. So there's a bit more urgency and desperation with the releases this time. And the first game going into the holiday season is something a little bit special. Minna no Taabou no Nakayoshi Daisakusen was the character soft game that made me go, hey, these Sanrio games are good actually. This is the kind of game where if you just looked at it for a couple of minutes and played a couple of stages, you probably wouldn't get it. It all seems kind of trivial. But Minna no Taabou no Nakayoshi Daisakusen is a game that has a very modern design sensibility. They give you a bunch of nice, easy, friendly levels up front that'll teach you the general rules of the game, how everything works, give you a good feel for it. And then they crush you. I guess the first obvious question is, what is a Minna no Taabou anyways? Minna no Taabou is one of Sanrio's very few human characters. If you can call the weird little doodle of a guy human. His name basically means everyone's good boy. He's often accompanied by a group of rather sketchy-looking animals. That's sketchy as in the drawing style, not sketchy because they look shifty. Although that fox... Minna no Taabou no Nakayoshi Daisakusen is a milestone for the character soft games. This is the first time that they've adapted someone else's game and put the Sanrio characters in it. In this case, it's a port of a super obscure computer game called Pairs and Rotors. Minna no Taabou no Nakayoshi Daisakusen is a collection of puzzle games. There are two completely separate games here, though they both merge elements of a maze chase with a more traditional puzzle game. The Pairs game is concentration. There's a field of 24 cards, and you walk over to one, hit A to flip it over. And naturally, your goal is to find the matching one. The first few stages only have 16 cards, but later stages will increase the quantity. There are also monsters wandering among the cards for you to turn over. The pink ones aren't much of a threat, they're slow, and they generally go all the way down a row and then go all the way back. The blue ones, on the other hand, are fast and have a tendency to home in on you. And as the quantities of monsters increase, and the stages begin introducing things to block your path, avoiding the monsters becomes tougher, and you'll have to start finding pairs just to open escape routes. Initially, all the paths are wide open to you, but it won't take long before they start getting closed off. And in some cases, you can only access a small portion of the cards. There are tunnels at the four corners of the screen that you'll have to use to get around the maze, but watch out because the monsters can use them too. Another complication for you is that a lot of the symbols that you'll uncover look an awful lot alike. They basically made the old memory game more difficult by making you juggle a lot of tasks at the same time, and making it harder to just keep track of what's around. Oh, and one of the cards doesn't have a match. Its pair has been replaced with a flag. So one more complication to add to the pile. There are some power-ups that you can uncover, and they're just additional items on cards. Getting a pair of clocks will freeze all of the monsters in place for a few moments. Getting the potion will slow them down for a while. Getting the staff will make Minna no Taabou indestructible for a bit, though it doesn't affect enemies at all. And getting the scroll will turn all the cards face up for a few moments, giving you an opportunity to memorize their locations. Finally, the hearts act as extra lives. Some of the stages in the Pairs game will have particular patterns. Most amusingly, on stage 13, all of the cards are extra lives. Though really, that's a signal that the game is about to turn nasty on you. When you get a game over, you'll be given a 4-image password that will let you continue from that stage, but you can't directly continue. You'll have to enter the password. The Rotors game is similar in that you're interacting with tiles in a maze, but there are no power-ups here. Your goal is to complete rows of the simples, and you do that by having Minna no Taabou press against the side of one of the tiles and hitting a button. that will rotate all of the tiles in the direction that he's facing. And that means you don't have to rotate an entire row, you can just rotate part of it. Complete a row, column, or diagonal, and those tiles turn into flowers. The flowers act as wildcards, letting you complete more rows, columns, and diagonals. The flowers are locked in place, but the tiles are not. So whatever tiles just completed that set for you, you can rotate them out again. The catch there is that sometimes the tile has been replaced by a ghost, and you can't push a ghost. Trying to do so will kill you. But you can push other tiles around the ghost, including on flowers. Once all the tiles have been converted, you move on to the next stage. Both game modes in Minna no Taabou no Nakayoshi Daisakusen have 25 stages, and it's around the halfway mark for each of them where they become tricky. There's a 2-player mode in this game, but it's pretty aggressive. You're both attempting to solve the puzzle at the same time, but players can throw balls at each other to stun them. Presumably you do that while they're running away from a monster. Apparently the game is considered to be relatively obscure in Japan. The one comment I saw over and over again was disbelief that this was a game for children. As for me, well, obviously I like it. Minna no Taabou no Nakayoshi Daisakusen takes some very simple concepts and then just slams you with complications for those. You're going to have a really hard time concentrating and memorizing the cards in the pairs game as you dodge all of the enemies and try to remember which of the foxes that one was. While over in the rotors, you might be trying to hurry, but still have to watch out for the ghost to suddenly appear in your hands. These are some pretty creative, challenging puzzle games. They're real hidden gems on the Famicom.